What's happening? Welcome to the lab. I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. It's good to see you. Good to be here. Let me see. Got a new member, Show Poodle 691. Welcome. Good to see you. All right, let's take a look here. Say hi to the crew. There they are. There you guys are. Rod, what's happening? How are you? Mary, what's up, Mary? Donna, Jason. Let's see here. True Colors. Samantha, what's happening? What's up, Dr. Gary? My Wi-Fi is wonky already. Is it really? It wouldn't surprise me. Hold on. I'm doing fine.
At Prayer and Pills donated $20 through Super Chat.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Does it sound okay? Does it sound okay? Trying to make sure. Sound is good. Okay, good. All right. Anyway, it was your intro. What was wrong with the intro? The intro sounded bad? Oh, God. Yeah, on Monday I was on Justin Clutch Them Pearls or Clutch the Pearls. I think it's Clutch Them Pearls. I think. It's not Clutch the Pearls. But yeah, I was on his show and we did we streamed the prayer vigil. And it was it was very sad. It's very somber, but we were there. And a lot of you were there, and so that was very awesome. I'm happy that they got so much support. Clutch them cheeks. So, oh my God, it's disgusting. Yes, very handsome, very handsome. Let me see live chat here. All right, so Yes. Yes. That, I mean, that's just the whole situation is just completely unfortunate and heartbreaking. Um, is that what is that? Kelly wants to know, why doesn't anyone think they? So we're on day. By the way, I just want to say this, we're on day 38. Day 38, and I don't like. I mean, are there people? I mean, look, is this case destined to go cold? Is it possible that it doesn't get solved, that it carries on for another month, another 6 months, another year, more than a year? I mean, you're getting into some really, really shaky territory. The longer it goes on. And not that, ultimately, everybody wants answers. The family wants answers. The family wants justice for Nancy and whatever has happened to her, whatever she endured. But it just seems as though this is going on and on. Josh, has anyone considered that the mailman could have been involved somehow? One, knowledge of the area. Two, knowledge rapport with Miss Nancy. I would think, and I don't know. I would think that they have looked at that. I would hope, and I think that's something that they would want to cross off the list pretty quickly. I mean, personally, that's what I would think. But I would hope. Let's see here. Debbie said, "I can't imagine waking up to that masked man." I know. She has to be in Mexico. So you think that she's in Mexico alive? I'm afraid it's going to be harder than it should be because they released the scene so soon. Maybe. Well, we don't know what they have, but we have seen what they've tried to have. So it's not like we're shooting in the dark here. They have raided 2 homes. Nothing has come from that other than collecting of phones, cars, DNA swabs, things like that. So it's not like we don't know what they have, but we've seen what they've tried to have. And when you bring out the heavy artillery the way that they did, and God knows that they brought out heavy artillery, they, for some reason, nothing has came of it yet. A jammer was not used at the house. If one was used, it would have been at the point the pacemaker disconnected, which means more than 41 minutes. Also, Jason, that's a great point. But I've also heard that there were other weird, like possible outages elsewhere, other places. You know, I don't know. So I'm a little curious about that, but maybe that could, that could just be shoddy, like a signal, I mean, that happens, right? I mean, there are just places that are sort of dead zones. And so that sucks. But we have, for some reason, Fredo had, let's see. Fredo had Coffindoffer on and Enton. We're going to check out what Fredo has to say here. Governor Nipple Rings' little brother, the illegitimate brother. Just kidding. I don't know if he's illegitimate or not. All right, let's see. That's right. All right, here we go. Hopefully the audio is good. Oh, come on. You can handle Cuomo for a few. Come on, don't be like that. Can't handle Cuomo. You can handle him for a few minutes. You could do it. That's just our warm up. It's just a warm up, okay?
And former FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindoffer
Shout out to the Patagonia backpack.
join right now. And Brian, I mean, you've been working it. You've been doing excellent work, but you can't report on what isn't known.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, there's been a lot of dead ends, Chris. The glove that was found, we now found out that it's not linked to the case. The DNA actually traced back to a restaurant worker in the area who the sheriff says has absolutely nothing to do with the case. Today, though, I mean, there was action. We see the FBI out here. There's a task force that's been formed since last time I talked to you, Chris, that consists of 4 detectives from the sheriff's office, a sergeant, and then all the FBI agents. So they've got a special task force now. All they do is Nancy Guthrie. And they were out in the neighborhood again today, knocking on doors. They went to several houses right near Nancy's, and then they were in another part of the neighborhood. We're not sure why. Neighbors told me that they seemed very, very focused, that they didn't share new information, but they seemed more focused than last time they were here, Chris.
What the hell does that mean?
Jen, did we expect too much?
They seemed more focused. What is it? Like focused on what exactly? Like more focused on certain questions, on certain theories. What does that mean?
Did we treat this like a missing persons case where we expect that flush of activity within 24, 48 hours where somebody saw something on a camera and there's a chase and you try to get to them before something bad happens?
Are you saying they weren't focused when this started? Or it was just a broader sort of...
happens? Is this something else?
Thanks, Shaq.
I don't think we expected too much. Look, Nancy Guthrie's life was in peril from the beginning, and you have about 48 hours to make that investigation quickly solved. And unfortunately, that is not what has happened here. And now when I'm seeing all of this re-canvassing, it makes me concerned. We know it's already been canvassed twice, this neighborhood. It shows me that perhaps this task force doesn't think that the information was adequately gained and they have to redo it.
I've had great experience with the Cajun Navy. I was surprised to hear that they wanted to be part of this search. A lot of people laugh it off. You do not.
No, I don't at all. I actually think they need to be doing desert searches, the searches that are very close to in proximity.
Yeah, so honestly, the no searching thing seems still odd to me. I believe Court TV, Vinnie Politan did something today where the title of his show was, "Should they be looking for a body?" That was the title of his show. My God.
To that,
The answer is yes. Okay. Unequivocally, undoubtedly, yes. Of course.
the house.
Alive, not alive. They should be searching for a body.
I I don't think anybody's been searching there. And that is the perfect thing to do grid searches there in particular quadrants where everybody knows who's searched and when. That's what needs to happen, I think, with these volunteer search services.
Brian, what are your main avenues of reporting right now?
Well, you brought up the Cajun Navy. I went through, they submitted a 42-page, really detailed operational plan, Chris. I mean, they've got 25 dogs that they could bring, aerial assets, and they just want to search the desert, and they just want the sheriff's blessing. But so far, he's basically ignored their request to search. Yeah, so she says that...
Okay, so why do they need his blessing to search the desert? He doesn't own the desert. So I don't know why they're waiting. Can't they just go search? I mean, I'm a little confused. Okay, so you write a 42-page letter to Nanos, who may or may not be able to read. I don't know. But why not just do it?
She wants to return to the show, Jesse, in terms of when she will actually return. She didn't say today. She wasn't on camera, obviously, but she did visit the Today Show to see her coworkers, her friends, people who she says are like family. You can see these photos. They were really emotional. She was hugging different, coworkers who she's worked with for years. You remember she was here at the house just a couple of days ago. She's been in Arizona for more than a month now, and now she's finally back in.
I do not get why they need permission to search the friggin' desert. Why do they need permission? Hold on. It's my sister.
New York City.
Yeah, incredibly difficult for her. Day 33. I mean, that's what we're talking about. Day 33. There's no sign from Nancy. Everything you're hearing from sources close to the investigation, being on the ground, I mentioned this idea of 4 detectives, a sergeant, have now joined this FBI task force in Tucson. Anything you can tell us about whether or not authorities are still treating this as a rescue operation, as a kidnapping situation? They believe Nancy's still alive, or is this shifting to a recovery mission? I mean, do you have any?
Let me see here.
Insight into where this investigation is right now?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say this, but the sense is this is not a rescue operation anymore. I mean, there's not like an active search for Nancy. There's no helicopters in the air. It doesn't feel like it has the urgency it did in the very beginning in terms of, people feeling like she could be alive. I mean, hopefully she is. It's certainly a possibility, but that's not really the sense in the way that it was in the beginning. Today, we have some video of this actually you're looking at today. I mean, it's active. There's still a lot going on. Today, the FBI agents, part of this task force, were on the ground in the neighborhood again, talking to neighbors, knocking on doors. We were trying to figure out why certain neighbors and not others. They were in one part of the neighborhood, then they came right by Nancy's house. I talked to one neighbor who spoke with the FBI, who said they seem a lot more focused now, that they were asking a lot of similar questions that they have in the past, but they seem to be focusing more, and he didn't want to elaborate more than that. But like I said, I mean, some people are worried it's a cold case. I mean, they're still out pounding the pavement, Jesse.
And with that in mind, circle back to what we talked about on last night's show. You broke this news about the Cajun Navy, right? So the Cajun Navy sent apparently a 41-page search plan to the sheriff's office, said, hey, listen, you guys will be in charge, you spearhead it, but we'll help. K9s, drones. This is a volunteer group that has assisted in search and rescue operations in the past. They've helped with criminal investigations. Has the sheriff's office still not?
Is the audio fine? Honestly, you can be honest with me. I don't even care to be at this point.
responded to them? Because again, I mean, we've talked about the idea that maybe they don't want anyone interfering with an investigation, but have they not taken them off on the offer or even responded?
Yeah, for what we know, still no response. It doesn't seem like that plan is really going to pan out because the sheriff's office doesn't seem interested. You know, I've heard kind of both sides of it. Obviously, you know, what's the harm in having more people out searching? And you could have them search the far desert if you wanted to, not even this area. Others have told me, though, look, you know, it's a controlled investigation right now. It seems like the FBI is taking more control than they had because this task force is based out of the FBI office, and they may just not want any outsiders involved right now.
And look, from an investigative point of view, I can understand that. But, you know, everybody's just trying to find some answers right here, which is it brings me back to what the sheriff said earlier in the week, that investigators may be closer to identifying a suspect. Have you learned more information about what leads the sheriff to believe that? We've talked about before this Ring camera video of a car about 2.5 miles away from Nancy's home at around 2 a.m. We've talked about maybe genetic genealogy on some forensic material that maybe have helped. Do we know anything more about why the sheriff might have said that?
So, you know, there's definitely things happening behind the scenes. The specifics we don't know. There have been some rumblings, like could they have a vehicle description that they're just not sharing? We don't know. So the sheriff has been tight-lipped about a lot. I mean, every time we've heard from him, he's been optimistic that they will solve the case. In terms of what he knows right now, it's hard to say, Jesse.
I hope he's right. I hope he's right. Brian Entin, thank you so much, and thank you for continuing to stay on top of the story. Everybody really appreciates it.
For more on all that, let's go live to Brian Entin in Tucson, Arizona. He's been covering this case from the very start. What are you learning about this brand new canvassing yet again of this neighborhood?
Yeah, we saw them out here today, Elizabeth. They not only went to Nancy Guthrie's neighbors on both sides, but to other parts of the neighborhood. It seemed like they knew which houses they wanted to go to. There were some a couple of blocks away where they were talking to people. It was a mix of FBI agents and also Pima County sheriff's detectives, but they're now all on one task force, which is what I told you yesterday. They've combined it into one very focused task force, which I'm told is a good thing. What's interesting is I talked to some of the neighbors who had the FBI agents visit their homes, and they said there wasn't particularly anything new that they were asking them, but they said that they seemed more focused. They used that word, focus, that they were focusing in on some of the same elements that they had asked them about before. Whether that means there are new leads coming in behind the scenes or if they are just doing follow-up, we don't know. But I can tell you, according to the FBI.
Yeah, but Deborah, so why wouldn't they need the permission of those people and not the sheriff?
The number of tips coming in have really started to slow, Elizabeth, since that $1 million reward was first announced. Elizabeth?
Oh, wow. All right. Okay. Brian Entin, live from Tucson. Thank you. For more, let's go to Jeffrey Halstead, retired Fort Worth police chief and former commander with the Phoenix Police Department. Jeff, what do you make of the fact that this task force of FBI agents and sheriff's deputies are now together going back again door to door asking more questions? What could people possibly know that they haven't already told them?
This is very typical because when this investigation passes about a 30-day mark, you're going to see a concentric focus on going back and reestablishing contact with people that were probably early interviewees. And what they're doing is they're doing a confirmation or a closure of these contacts, confirming what they told investigators before, and then either making sure the lead is still strong or closing this out so the task force can then centralize on their strongest opportunities for case development. It's very typical and it's very normal for this, but you got to have the right people doing this. And I think now is the right time. So I think they're doing the right things here.
You know, a lot of people had a lot of optimism when Savannah Guthrie announced on Instagram that they were posting a $1 million reward for information. They thought, okay, this will finally shake the tree. Somebody who knows something will not be able to pass that up. And yet, we're not only do we not yet have apparently, I don't know. There could be something going on behind the scenes, but there hasn't been an arrest. And now we're hearing from Brian Entin that the numbers of tips is dropping.
Oh, yeah, I was in that group, when the elevation went to a level that I thought was absolutely instrumental in getting some criminal syndicate style communications. Someone that knew something that's within an element of crime is going to reveal that. I was in that group thinking that was going to hold and actually bring forward some stronger leads. With that said, you got to also remember the complexity in that first 2, 3, 4 day, and then no communication whatsoever to a lot of our media partners, a lot of the public, just some more enticing types of development in this case.
Right.
That becomes very, very frustrating on many aspects of the investigation.
Well, let's talk about the aspects of the investigation. I want to bring in Bob Krieger, a former Pima County Sheriff's Lieutenant who spent nearly 30 years at the department. Bob, you've been a longtime critic of Sheriff Chris Nanos, and you think he botched this investigation. How?
Give me a second. Just give me. Let me just try this.
I don't think he necessarily botched the investigation. I think he botched the word of the investigation coming out to the public. He's got very little to do with the actual investigating what the detectives are doing on the ground. But I think his messaging could have been a lot better from day one. There's reasons that he put stuff out and things like that. But as far as the investigation goes, I'm still very confident that the detectives and the agents from the FBI are doing a good job at that level.
Why haven't we had, Bob, any kind of news conference? Why, part of what you want to do in cases like this that you fear are growing cold is to keep it hot. Get out there in front of a microphone and tell the public you need this or that. We've had Savannah Guthrie trying to do her best to keep the public interest focused on finding her mother, but we haven't heard the sheriff give a news conference in weeks.
Well, I think based on those early news conferences, the way they went for him, he probably saw the writing on the wall. Now, that doesn't mean that other folks in the agency couldn't have done that, or partners within the FBI. And hopefully there are reasons for that the investigators behind the scene, they have been making those decisions. That being said, you hit it. It's been a long time, and there's a lot of folks out there who are probably waiting and who may have some bits of information that they haven't put together yet because they haven't heard things coming from the top. And if they hear those things, it'll light a fire for them. Like, hey, I need to call this in now. So the reasons for it are manyfold. They didn't start off well. Someone probably told him to stop talking, quite honestly, and took that literally. So I do think that more should be put out in press conference format, not individual news or individual interview format.
Yeah, Jeffrey, you have a long experience in leading local police departments in both Texas and in Phoenix, Arizona. How would you have handled this? Would you have, established a process where there's a regular, even if you've got nothing new, where you come out in front of the microphones every day, every 3 days, at least once a week to just update the public on what's happening and to keep the interest going, because that's what you're going to need to crack this case.
Yeah, you're right. I agree, with my peer that's on our call with
There
today.
should be no more crackling.
Communication is the foundation of leadership excellence, period. So if you're not communicating, you're not showing a strong leadership presence. With that said, after I retired, I spent years developing literally like a virtual press conference here with Genesis Evertel. Every reporter could be in an encrypted chat room instantaneously getting updates. He has a team of PIOs, and he can utilize them to get information out, updates out, because it keeps the story fresh. And that's absolutely critical.
Bob, what do you make of the fact that we now have the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's deputies going together as they go door to door? That this is Brian Anton reported on this actually last night, but today he actually saw this at work. This newly formed task force. Is this a normal thing for there to be a newly formed task force a month later after the crime?
Well, the task force as it's put together now, it's my understanding it's a handful of detectives working out of the FBI building with FBI agents. Who's running it, who's leading it, that I'm not sure of. But in cases like this, it's not unheard of. I'm certain as I can be that from day one, again, that the investigators on the ground, the men and women, they were working well together.
Yeah.
There might have been some bumps in the road at the top. So putting a task force together at this point is just kind of formalizing what they've been doing for the past, over a month. It's putting a name to it, and now they're focused on that. And because life has to get back to normal, both with the FBI and with the Sheriff's Department, as far as investigations go and things like that. And this is the start of that.
Well, and life will never be back to normal for the Guthrie family, sadly. Jeffrey, 10 seconds. Are they ever going to have any answers, do you think? Will we know? I don't think they're going
to have the answers that they've been hoping for and praying for. And with that said, we all need to be very, very respectful that they're going through a extremely unthinkable, challenging time right now.
All right. Thanks so much, Jeffrey Krieger, Jeffrey Halstead, Bob Krieger, Jeffrey Halstead. Thanks. Savannah Guthrie returned to New York City today for an emotional reunion with her NBC family. It was the Today Show host's first trip back to the set since her mother disappeared more than a month ago. TMZ captured video of hugs and tears that played out behind the scenes. Fellow Today Show anchor Jenna Bush Hager became choked up when she later talked about Guthrie's visit on air.
Savannah has come back to her home here at 30 Rock in Studio 1A. We got to see her this morning, and in her perfect way, she talked to all of us, hugged every single person in this room. She has the intention to return to the show, even though it feels like the hardest thing to do.
Savannah Guthrie has been in Tucson with her brother and sister as the anguished search for her missing mother now hits day 33. The family's $1 million reward has helped generate more than 40,000 tips, an astronomical number that still hasn't led to any breaks in the case. There were, however, new signs of activity today. FBI agents were seen going door to door, canvassing the neighborhood in the Catalina foothills where the 83-year-old lived. So does that mean there are new questions to ask, or does it mean that the FBI wasn't satisfied with the answers that Pima County Sheriff's Department got when it knocked on those same doors weeks ago? For more on all that, let's go live to Brian Enton in Tucson, Arizona. He's been covering this case from the very start. What are you learning about this brand new canvassing yet again of this neighborhood?
Yeah, we saw them out here today, Elizabeth. They not only went to Nancy Guthrie's neighbors on both sides, but to other parts of the neighborhood. It seemed like they knew which houses they wanted to go to. There were some a couple of blocks away where they were talking to people. It was a mix of FBI agents and also Pima County Sheriff's detectives, but they're now all on one task force, which is what I told you yesterday. They've combined it into one very focused task force, which I'm told is a good thing. What's interesting is I talked to some of the neighbors who had the FBI agents visit their homes, and they said there wasn't particularly anything new that they were asking them, but they said that they seemed more focused. They used that word, focus, that they were focusing in on some of the same elements that they had asked them about before. Whether that means there are new leads coming in behind the scenes or if they are just doing follow-up, we don't know. But I can tell you, according to the FBI, the number of tips coming in have really started to slow, Elizabeth, since that $1 million reward was first announced.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased.
We got Cuomo. Sorry.
We'll get reaction to this from a former jihadist in just a moment. But now we have new developments in the Nancy Guthrie case. Arizona authorities say the cadaver dogs that were used earlier in the investigation are no longer being used in the search. And a neighbor tells News Nation that she saw a suspicious man in the area weeks before Nancy went missing. Joining us now is News Nation senior national correspondent Brian Entin with an exclusive update, and Sergeant Betsy Brantner Smith, National Police Association spokesperson and Pima County resident. Brian, tell us more about what you're hearing about this suspicious man who was in the neighborhood.
Yeah, two interesting new things, Katie, that we have discovered. I spoke with the neighbor, Nancy's neighbor, who says that around January 11th, she saw a suspicious man walking towards Nancy's house, head down, ball cap down.
That's the nicest
sort of
thing anybody
shuffling
said to
along.
me tonight in a chat half full of crybabies. Thank you. I appreciate that. Apologies for being morbid. I hope their plan wasn't schemed in a way to ensure her body is never found as the ultimate end goal and priority. Yeah. Maybe you should upgrade and go somewhere else. You kind of annoy me, to be honest.
Says he appeared not to want to be seen, really stood out to her. She actually told her husband about it. She's now since talked to the FBI about it. And it's interesting because we keep hearing about that January 11th date that the FBI seems to be zeroing in on. Something about January 11th that could be significant. Remember, Nancy didn't go missing till February 1st. Second thing, Katie, is that woman's sister also lives in the neighborhood and says that the FBI showed up at her house after Nancy went missing, looked around her house, looked in the garage. She thought there was something weird about the FBI agent, so she actually called 911 after they left. Deputies swarmed the house with more FBI and said that they thought they were fake FBI agents. This is crazy. They did a 4-hour investigation, looked for fingerprints, took DNA samples, left her house. She was terrified. The next day they call her and say, oh, actually went back and checked, and they were real FBI agents, which just kind of shows how disorganized this whole thing was in the beginning, Katie.
To say the least, yeah. Betsy, what do you make of authorities no longer using cadaver dogs in their search? And for people who are unfamiliar, how accurate are cadaver dogs if they're used in a crime scene like this?
Well, they can be very accurate. I used to run my agency's canine unit, and cadaver dogs are trained for a specific smell, obviously, basically decaying flesh. And the fact that they're not being used could optimistically mean that they have something else where they don't feel like they're looking for a deceased body. So, the fact that they're not using cadaver dogs right now could be a real optimistic sign, but I'm going to guess if they don't have someone in custody or don't find Mrs. Guthrie soon, dead or alive, they'll go back to searching additional areas. But Katie, Pima County is a huge area, and we've got everything from mountains to water to desert. So they need to narrow down where to search to bring back the cadaver dogs.
Yeah, Pima County, and then of course Arizona is a big state, and Mexico is just 60 minutes away to the south. Brian, I think that one of the biggest fears here for people who are watching this case and feeling like there's nowhere to go is that it goes cold. We know that agents in the FBI have been pulled off the case. What are you hearing about the resources, given we're now hearing the cadaver dogs are not going to be used either?
Yeah, I don't get the sense that it's going cold at this point. I mean, it's been 38 days now, but they've got this task force here with FBI agents and sheriff's detectives who are just...
I don't think Brian's going to think that it's going cold because, I mean, there would be, if he thought it was going cold, if he honestly thought it was going cold, then he wouldn't be out there. And he would leave.
Totally devoted to the case. That's all they do on this task force. And we've seen them operating behind the scenes a little bit. So, I don't get the sense that something's coming any day now, but I don't think we can call this a cold case at this point.
Betsy, what is your opinion about that, just given your experience and the fact that you live in Pima County and know the sheriff's department?
These agents and these Pima County sheriff's deputies and investigators are so dedicated to finding Nancy Guthrie and to bringing justice for her and her family. This case, it's only 37 days old, and that in this type of realm is still a very young case. It's not a cold case. Just because it's not in the media every single day does not mean that task force isn't working 24 hours a day to find her and get justice for her and her family.
Yeah, Betsy, we've heard a lot of really positive things about sheriff's deputies, but we've heard some concerns about the way that Sheriff Chris Nanos has handled this case. What are you hearing about his leadership and whether the mistakes that were made early on in this case have led to this point now where they're feeling like they don't have a lot to go on?
Locally, Sheriff Chris Nanos has always been known as a lousy leader. There's no other way to say it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now.
I mean, who cuts it off that way? Honestly, who edits it like that? Look, there's what? 1, 2, there's 16 seconds left. And she hasn't even finished what she's saying. And then we get the Cuomo promo. What a horrible job editing that was.
Peter, there's no other way to say it.
She was in the middle of a sentence. All right, hold on. Like, I thought that I had time, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm listening. It's like, bam. All right, let's. I guess we'll go into Ent.
Search for.
See what Enton has to say. This. I have no idea what he'll say. Shit.
Nancy Guthrie. I'm in Nancy's neighborhood right now. It's pretty quiet. I haven't seen any like FBI or Pima County Sheriff's detectives out here the last couple of days. I'm continuing to follow up on what I brought you guys yesterday, the neighbor who had two really interesting things to say. First of all, the suspicious person that she reported seeing back sometime around January 11th, and then also what happened to her sister, which is what's really got me just like kind of been thinking like nonstop about. The FBI coming to her sister's house, and then she didn't really think they were FBI, and then the detectives told her that they were not FBI and did a whole investigation, but then later
Justin, I don't need you to tell me that I have potential in crap audio. I've ran a successful channel for over 5 years now, and I don't need you to tell me about my potential or my audio, honestly. If you don't like it here, you can leave. If you don't like the audio, you can leave. You don't like the host, you can leave. You don't like the mods, you can leave. Or you can stay and not be a dick face. I mean, it's up to you, buddy.
I told them they were FBI. Very, very strange situation. We reached out to the FBI today, and they said no comment because this is an ongoing investigation. But I wanted to talk to retired FBI agent and my friend Maureen O'Connell about these latest developments to see what she thinks.
He doesn't have to exit. He can stay. He can hang out. It doesn't matter. It's just like, but if you want to be a crybaby, then fine.
Because again, I found them to be so bizarre. I'm joined now by Maureen O'Connell, retired FBI special agent. It's nice to see you, Maureen.
Always good to see you, Brian.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Are you feeling better?
I am feeling better. Yeah, I'm coming back. I'm coming back to life. I was just telling someone I've never had one of those IVs before where they come and they give you like when you need hydration, and I didn't want to do it, but it really helped. It was really good.
They say that everybody says that helps quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it did. A couple of things
No, Brian did nothing. He did nothing new to his hair.
I want to ask you about Maureen with the neighbor who I interviewed. She had a couple of really interesting points. First, she told the story about her sister who lives down the street, also in the neighborhood, and that the FBI, who she thought was the FBI, showed up at her house, and then she was concerned that they weren't really the FBI. Come to find out later, she found out that they were the FBI. Let me play you this part, and then I want to see what you think about it.
They did go to my sister's house.
Did they?
Yeah.
And she said she lives right near here, too.
She lives right up the street.
Sometimes.
They went to my sister's house on the second Friday night after Nancy went missing at like 7:30 at night. It was raining with hoodies on, black hoodies, and were tapping on her windows and frantically ringing her doorbell, and she answered it. I don't remember if they asked to come in or if she just offered for them to come in. It was raining and it was cold. And so they went in. I think the male did not take his hoodie off. The female did. They wanted to know if she had a pacemaker, and they wanted to look into her garage. And so she was like, okay. I mean, she was alone and was like, sure, of course, you're the FBI. Apparently on her hoodie was just a little FBI emblem up here. Well, then they left. And
So they were in her house.
They were in her house for like 20 minutes and talking to her, and she was asking questions, and they were kind of vague, and the guy didn't really speak, and he kind of creeped her out. So they left, and my niece called and said, are you sure they were the FBI? Because we all had discussed about copycat crimes, people posing as police officers, things like that. So she called.
Wait a minute. What did she say? Hold on. Do you mind if I start this over? I got to hear this one more time, please. I want to start from the beginning. I need to listen. I wasn't paying attention.
The street. They went to my sister's house on the second.
See what she weren't really the FBI. Come to find out later, she found out that they were the FBI. Let me play you this part, and then I want to see what you think about it.
They did go to my sister's house.
Did they?
Yeah.
And she said she lives right near here, too.
She lives right up the street. They went to my sister's house on the second Friday night after Nancy went missing at like 7:30 at night. It was raining with hoodies on, black hoodies, and were tapping on her windows and frantically ringing her doorbell, and she answered it. I don't remember if they asked to come in or if she just offered for them to come in. It was raining and it was cold. And so they went in. I think the male did not take his hoodie off. The female did. They wanted to know if she had a pacemaker, and they wanted to look into her garage. And so she was like, okay. I mean, she was alone and was like, sure, of course, you're the FBI. Apparently on her hoodie was just a little FBI emblem up here. Well, then they left. And
So they were in her house.
They were in her house for like 20 minutes and talking to her, and she was asking questions, and they were kind of vague, and the guy didn't really speak, and he kind of creeped her out. So they left, and my niece called and said, are you sure they were the FBI? Because we all had discussed about copycat crimes, people posing as police officers, things like that. So she called the 1-800-FBI number, and it was busy, or said they were busy. So she called 911, and within 15 minutes, 10 minutes, there were 7 police cars, 4 FBI agents, said it wasn't the FBI. She was terrified. They swabbed her, fingerprinted the entire house.
So they swabbed her mouth.
They swabbed her mouth.
For DNA, wow.
Yeah, and then were there till the middle of the night, and then just left, and she was terrified.
They swabbed.
So the next day,
what?
at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she got.
So are these fake FBI agents that are swabbing people's mouths? What? Why?
A call from the large group of FBI agents that were there and said, oh yeah, by the way, that woman was an FBI agent. We don't really know who the guy was, but she was, so you're fine. And she was like, no, I'm not fine. I'd like to know exactly what's her name. Tell me more about it. They were in my home. And it's.
So why would they have swabbed her and been fingerprints in the whole house?
Because I think in the beginning, the two entities weren't talking to each other properly. I think the FBI and the sheriff's department were not communicating.
So what do you make of this, Maureen? Because apparently the sheriff and some of the FBI were concerned enough that they did a 4-hour investigation, fingerprinted her whole house, took her DNA, were concerned that these were fake cops, but then called her the next day and said, oh no, we looked into it and it's actually legit.
Well, it was interesting, to say the least, but initially when we go to the door, we always show our credentials, and it's not like your typical badge. It's not like your typical police identification card. You're not wearing uniforms. As you said in the clip, or she said, they had just a small insignia that said FBI on her hat or whatever, and that's just the merch that we have to buy most of that out of our own pockets to wear that.
Super chat. No one from Arizona is from Arizona. Catch my drift?
Yeah, I kind of do.
So my thought is that
Thanks, Eric.
they were assigned an area on a map or wherever, like, hey, this block, we're going to do this block. And maybe this particular house was scheduled for the following day or something. I don't know. And they just were trying to get everything.
All right. There was a comment that I will answer because it seemed, I don't know, genuine, but somebody wanted to know where the line is between letting you know there's an issue and being a crybaby. I mean, I guess that's really up for interpretation. I don't think I was calling you specifically a crybaby, but letting me know more than once and then continuing to complain about it, you know, that's kind of annoying. And then, you know, continuing on about it. I've tried to fix it. It's about as good as I can get for tonight. Until I shut the stream down and then run a diagnostic test. I can't do it while the show's live. It doesn't let me.
I don't know what happened. All I do know is when we go to the door, we're trained to show our identification. And the identification is a dual placard that opens up and it says FBI on top and on the bottom, your photo and your name. But it is something that most people have never, ever seen before. So maybe she just didn't notice it or was listening or it was cold out, whatever. And then she invited them in. With their jackets on and with it being cold, you're not going to really see their badge. And we have notoriously small badges, which other law enforcement entities always make fun of us for. And we always admit that we do, in fact, have badge envy, especially when you're here in LA. Look at it, LAPD badges, the coolest badges around. But so they went in and did what they were supposed to do. Now, you know, you have to write a report when you do stuff like that. Obviously, these guys were there for several hours, and we in the bureau, you've got 5 days to write your report. In a situation like this, they're going to say, "Hey, write your reports as soon as they're done. We need to get this. We need to keep everything up to speed so that we're tracking everything that's going on because all these leads are being tracked." That it just didn't make it to the analysts and the professional support personnel that were annotating all the leads that were out and the leads that were being covered. So to, fingerprint her whole house and
What is
all
that?
that. And I didn't really understand.
What is that from? The badges? We don't need no stinking badges. What is that from? Badges? We don't need no stinking badges. It's from a movie, right?
Understand the bit about the I mean, maybe you can clarify the bit about the pacemaker.
That's
I
a
don't
really good
understand what it
point.
was about.
Yeah, I don't either. I was wondering what you thought about that. They were asking if she had a pacemaker. I wonder
I don't
why.
know unless they had some kind of an RF analyzer that can tell you how strong that signal was because they just wanted an answer quickly. But that's odd to me. I don't know what that means. We'll have to wait and see what that means.
Yeah, and I'm trying to talk to her a little more today to get some more info. But just the fact that they came, so she calls 911 because so basically she calls her sister and I think another family member after these two FBI agents leave, and she's like, there was just
Daughter
something
inside, yeah.
weird. There was just something weird about I don't know, especially the guy weirded her out, and she's so and it was her sister who said, you should just call the police if you think there's something weird. So she
Right.
calls 911. And then they respond, and she said with 7 deputies.
Well, and Jason, I appreciate you saying that, but what people don't understand is, and if you're new here, nobody's more upset about it than me. Nobody, and I will get it fixed. I apologize for it, but I get it. I don't need to upgrade anything. I have a lot of good stuff. I got to get it dialed back in. That's all.
Plus more FBI, and she said 4 hours in the house fingerprinting and they said we don't know who these people were who were in your house.
Oh, so it wasn't the FBI agents that were
No,
lifting prints. I
no,
gotcha. All right, now that makes more sense.
This was in response to her saying,
That makes
I
more
think
sense.
these were fake cops. And then the FBI and the deputies responding and being like, yeah, we have no record of these people. They were fake cops, and we're gonna do this whole thing. They were there for 4 hours, fingerprinting everything, took her DNA, left that night, and she went to bed thinking, oh my God, there were fake cops in my house.
All right,
Freaks
so
out.
they
Yeah.
took her DNA because they were gonna they were looking for the DNA of the two people they thought were possible offenders. This happened, it's not uncommon.
Well, let me
for
finish
people
because I want to make sure you
Okay.
know. So then
Okay.
leave at night, and she goes to bed freaked out. I let fake cops in my house. And this is right after Nancy Guthrie disappeared. This is all they're in connection to the Nancy Guthrie case. 3 p.m. the next day, they call her and say, "Oh, just so you know, we did more checking, and they actually were legit. The woman was definitely real FBI, so we can all move on." Okay, so sorry,
Right,
what were you
so
going to
she
say?
submitted the FBI female agent submitted her report. It flagged in the system that it was in fact an FBI agent, and probably could have been an ERT person with her or someone else that's not a sworn law enforcement officer. I don't know why he didn't take his hoodie off when he got in the house, because in a situation like this, we have to understand that people are freaked out a little bit, and you have to do what you can to sort of calm the situation down. So that will be dealt with. I can guarantee you that. But that makes a lot more sense. So they did a buccal swab on her because they were going to compare and contrast her DNA with other DNA that they're pulling out of the house when they were trying to figure out who these fake offenders were, even though they were legitimate. Now, if you consider it, as I said, it's not uncommon for people to come upon anybody, and I mean, it's happened a number of times where fake law enforcement or fake even firefighters show up on scene. Like if you look at, if you recall back to the Palisades fire, there was that fake fireman going around who was trying to get into houses and, to rob them. So, and he came to one of my friend's house, and I briefed them extensively on what to look for, what to be aware of, and they said they could tell that he wasn't a real firefighter because of a number of things that I had told them. So that's scary, but it was a good idea, and it was a very good move to call the police and say, this is what happened. I'm frightened.
Tiger Shark Diver says, dude, I'm a paramedic. I dude, I'm a paramedic. Go in houses all day with zero credentials. But typically people call a paramedic though. That's kind of the difference. Like, you know what kind of a coincidence it would be if somebody called a paramedic and then a fake paramedic showed up? That would be rough. That would be like an all time, at that point, if you need a paramedic, you're just like happy that anybody's showing up, I think.
I do. If they spoke to someone in the command post, obviously even that night.
It's like, I'm here in the ambulance. I got the El Camino outside. We're still running. We're going to put you in the trunk. Then, we might have a little issue.
It would have been the same result because the female FBI probably didn't even have time to write her report, let alone submit it by that night, So it happened the next day.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm the paramedic. I got the low right out front. Load them right up.
Not great, but in a very fluid situation like this, where when I tell you things are flying around. Information, personnel, new directives, pausing old directives. I mean, it's whenever you look at any after action report for any significant event, you always see comms or communications, but we call them comms. You always see comms as one of the number one findings of where we have issues. And this is just another example.
But what a waste of time. I mean, again, this was still when things were very active. To have all those people go to her house, have to spend 4 hours, which is what she said, fingerprinting and doing all that investigating. There was no way for them to just figure out that it was real FBI sooner.
The only thing I can think of is that those two individuals, the FBI personnel, were assigned a block or an area, and they decided to deviate from that slightly, maybe right around the corner. Maybe they were assigned to the very next block and thought, we may as well just hit this house. We're right here.
Okay, so they were going around looking for people that were voluntarily wanting to give their DNA. Is that what I'm picking up? Is that what they're laying down? Is that what they're laying down? And is that what I am picking up? No? No. Not exactly. Okay, what am I missing here?
See what they know. And, I know.
Do you think it goes back to the miscommunication, or not the miscommunication, but the lack of communication between, remember in the beginning, there was some real beef between the FBI and the sheriff's office and the sheriff?
I would say it goes more toward any big investigation. I mean, it sounds like, oh, this is outrageous and everything. But if you took 100 regular citizens and gave them all very clear directions, you would be blown away with how everyone goes in opposite directions and they're stepping over each other. So, if this is the only thing that went wrong at the beginning of something this large, I have no problem with it. Is it a waste of time? Yeah, maybe, probably. Could they have been doing other?
Where's the lady's full interview? I want to hear that full friggin' interview.
Other things, yes. But we have to go through the machinations of whatever needs to be done, and we need to do it quickly. And it's not the greatest outcome, but I'm not surprised, because whenever you're involved in anything big like this, all kinds of stuff always happens. We've had massive plane crashes where someone in the press came out and said, "I saw 10 passports of people that were killed in this plane crash." And their families don't even.
All right, we'll watch it after this.
Even know about it yet, because the FBI has come out and said no families have been notified yet. And so I was the one handling all the identification for these people. And I'll tell you what, man, about 4 or 5 big bosses were jumping down my throat. And I said, no one saw those. No one saw those.
They were actual FBI, but why did they specifically go to her? Maybe I've been focused too much on the insane chats that I've been getting.
Those passports. And they were like, yeah, but everyone's saying it and it's being reported all over. No one saw them. Let me show you what I...
Okay, so she reported a man in her yard and then she got swabbed. Is that how that works? Yes, they were doing canvassing in the neighborhood. Okay.
Did with them, what my system was, what my protocol is. So you always...
Why would they get swabbed if she reported a man in her backyard? Oh my God.
Always in these situations have a whole bunch of, like I said, you got stuff flying. Good stuff, bad stuff.
Yeah, I like to report somebody in my backyard. Okay, but first, you're going to have to do a swab. I mean, what?
You know, confusing stuff. You're lucky if you can keep it down. And if you can contain it, that's even better. Just get her done, you know, keep moving forward.
Yeah, I wonder for those couple of hours where they thought that these were maybe fake cops.
Exactly.
They must have really thought that was crazy. I mean, because that could have connected back to the whole Nancy Guthrie. I mean, that must have been an interesting couple of hours there.
Yeah, that
like I don't think that I'm. Maybe I am dumb. I mean, honestly, what the hell? Everybody's swabbing everybody. It's like civilians are swabbing FBI and FBI is swabbing civilians. And it's like, here, you do me, I do you.
was a big pucker factor moment for the investigation, for sure. That's why they sent 7. And that's exactly, you got to hit a situation like that hard. So it's unfortunate that, you know,
everybody's getting swabbed, okay?
Comms were bad. The whatever was set up wasn't set up solid enough. Maybe, you know, maybe this is one of the first times these people have ever been on a great...
Okay. Maybe Danny's going to lead us to the promised land here. Maybe Beth will. I don't know. You'd be surprised how many people don't ask for credentials under pressure. The lab. She was swabbed because they thought the FBI agents were fake, so they wanted to decipher her DNA. The FBI from the criminals' DNA, but it turns out they were not criminals, they were real. Holy shit. It still doesn't make any sense to me. Does that make any sense to anybody else? What up, Manimal? How's it going, dude? Does that make any sense to anybody else? It doesn't make any sense. Can we hear the guest, please? God.
Big fluid situation.
People are like, just right here.
With other entities involved. And if that's the case, you know.
You want me to replay the whole freaking thing? It's not going to make any more sense to me. Oh my God, dude.
Nancy went missing at like 7:30 at night. It was raining with hoodies on, black hoodies. And we're tapping on her windows and frantically ringing her doorbell, and she answered it. I don't remember if they asked to come in or if she just offered for them to come in. It was raining and it was cold. And so they went in. I think the male did not take his hoodie off. The female did. They wanted to know if she had a pacemaker, and they wanted to look into her garage. And so she was like, okay. I mean, she was alone and was like, sure, of course, you're the FBI. Apparently on her hoodie was just a little FBI emblem up here. Well, then they left, and
So they were in.
But why does she need to be swabbed at all? That's what I don't get. Why does she need to be swabbed? And why would an FBI agent be wearing his hoodie?
Her house.
They were in her house for like 20 minutes and talking to her, and she was asking questions, and they were kind of vague, and the guy didn't really speak, and he kind of creeped her out. So they left, and my niece called and said, "Are you sure they were the FBI?" Because we all had discussed about copycat crimes, people posing as police officers, things like that. So she called
And
the
Eric
1-800-FBI
6865 donated $5 through Super Chat. Call Dog the Bounty Hunter. This thing is off the rails.
number, and it was busy, or said they were busy. So she called 911, and within 15 minutes, 10 minutes, there were 7 police cars, 4 FBI agents, said it wasn't the FBI. She was terrified. They swabbed her, fingerprinted the entire house.
They swabbed her mouth.
They swabbed her mouth.
It's still, it doesnesn't make any sense.
DNA, wow.
Yeah.
We're going to Yaggity everybody. Blah, blah, blah.
And then we're there till the middle of the night. And then
All right, dude, we're going to watch hold on. Holly, I know you put it in the chat here. We're going to watch the whole friggin' thing. Oh my God. I got to see this interview. Then we'll come back. We'll run it back. We'll double back. Holy crap, dude.
And within 15 minutes.
Wait, that's the wrong one. That's the one I'm.
Hey guys, thanks.
Okay, here we go. That needs to go. That needs to go on the soundboard. We'll do it live. We'll run it back.
So much for checking out.
Jeremy likes turtles.
Out my show. Really, really appreciate it. Appreciate all of your support and for.
But no offense to the people that are telling me, they're like, dude, they had to DNA her because they had to make sure that it wasn't one of her relatives. That still makes no sense to me. Is that a good enough reason for you? It's not for me. They didn't swab anybody now?
Subscribing to the channel. It is now day 37 in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Can't believe it's now been 37 days. A really interesting episode today. One of the neighbors out here who I've gotten to know, who's actually the neighbor who lets us park in her driveway ever since there were those restrictions about parking, has a few really interesting stories to tell in relation to everything going on. First of all, she's lived in this neighborhood for decades. She's known Nancy for decades. But she also saw something very interesting around the time of January 11th, which is a date that keeps on coming up. We know that the FBI has been asking neighbors for video from around January 11th. And she saw something that she found to be very, very suspicious near Nancy's house, which she's going to describe in this episode. Also, something I had not heard about before until today, which is really shocking. Her sister also lives in this neighborhood, just a couple of blocks away, and says that the FBI showed up to her house a couple of days after Nancy went missing, wanted to come inside, wanted to look in her garage, look around the house, then left. She thought that something was suspicious about it, like just one of the so-called agents just didn't look.
I want to get swabbed.
Quite right. So she called authorities. Come to find out, the sheriff's department and more FBI come to her house, and they're like, that actually was not the FBI. Those were like fake law enforcement people. And they do this whole investigation. They start fingerprinting in her.
Okay. No, they needed. Jesus. A sample of her DNA to compare against the faked agents who were not fake. I'm sorry, dude. I don't even. Okay. All right. I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, you're saying this is why I think you know what you're talking about, because you're saying it with such confidence, and I love that, but it still doesn't make sense to me.
House. This is all right in this neighborhood. I can't believe I hadn't heard about this until today. So they're fingerprinting in her house. They take her DNA for whatever reason, and they basically like just start
I know no one was fake. I get that. But why is everybody swabbing each other?
Making her whole house into a crime scene, trying to figure this out. Then hours later, they say, oh, wait, we checked and those actually were real FBI. We were wrong. They weren't.
This somehow is Sheriff Nanos' fault. 100%.
Fake FBI. They were real FBI. We just weren't aware they were here. But the point is, apparently things were very, very disorganized early on between the locals and the FBI, which is something we were reporting on. But that story, you're going to hear her describe that story and really explain that whole story in this episode. But it's kind of wanted
the
to give
neighbor
you.
lady's dog is the star of the full interview. It is amazing.
Did the dog get swabbed? I got to know that. Thank you for your donation. Did the dog get swabbed? That's what I need to know.
Preview, because this is the first that I'm hearing about that. So I'm going to get into all of it in this episode of Brian Entin Investigates. So I'm joined by Aldine, who is one of Nancy's neighbors, and this is Maple, her dog.
Yep.
And first of all, I just wanted to thank you for letting us park in your driveway when we got moved out. That was very nice of you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What has it been like the last, 30 plus days?
It's been crazy and sad and, kind of scary for a lot of the people that live around here because, normally this is a quiet, sleepy neighborhood. So we don't have a lot of people here or incidences of anything.
So you knew Nancy?
Yes, so I'd met Nancy numerous times in the neighborhood from just being here. And I also went to high school with her kids. And so a very good friend of mine, super close with Nancy, and we used to walk in the neighborhood and she would be at parties and things like that. So yes.
She seems like a wonderful woman.
Lovely lady. Yeah, terribly lovely lady. Yeah.
Did people know that
Okay, so her sister, it has nothing to do with her. This lady was not swabbed, apparently. Swab free. We got a swab free lady here. So sister freaked out, called 911. They showed up, treated her home like a friggin' crime scene, collected DNA, and needed hers to be able to identify the bad guys. Okay, so they needed to test her DNA against the bad guys. All right. For somebody walking around their backyard?
she was Savannah's mom?
I don't know. It was never really talked about. She was just Nancy, so nobody around here really thought anything of it, or at least we never discussed it.
Did you know?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, I've known that for
yeah.
I've known that for a long time. I knew that Nancy lived there. Yeah.
But people on the outside didn't seem to know, really.
Not anybody that I ever talked to about it. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Did you know Savannah?
Okay, now I get why they swabbed her, but I don't know why they.
At all?
I did a bit in high school.
So then she thought they were fake, but they weren't fake. But then the FBI agent was wearing a hoodie trying to swab her. Can you imagine? Yeah, I'm gonna need to swab you. I'm gonna need to swab you. Can we search your house? I mean, come on. Wait. And then so I'm here in the ambulance. I'm a paramedic.
But not super well since, high school. Because I'm considerably older than, well, not considerably, but I'm about 3 or 4 years older than Savannah. I knew her brother better.
Was there anything strange?
Oh, sure. Come on in and Dustin can swab all you want.
In the neighborhood, you noticed, like before this happened?
I did. About 2 weeks before, it was there. I have a picture window in my bathroom, and I see all the people walking by in the mornings, and I noticed this strange guy with his hat down really low. He was kind of hunched over, not in, walking or hiking gear. He was dressed in kind of street clothing. So I thought that was weird because that's not normal.
And it stood out to you?
Oh, yeah. I said something to my husband and my mother. So, yeah.
And how often has something like that happened where it stood out to you enough to say something?
Not often at all. I see the same people. They're people I know, my friends. Yeah, so no. I think once, maybe 12 years ago, I saw a strange guy.
Did you tell?
I think once 10 years ago, I saw a strange guy. I hope they're not doing this because the genetic genealogy investigation is not anywhere. Well,
the police?
I mean, Nanos was saying that could take up to a year.
I told the FBI the day after they came here, and I discussed that with them. So this is my window that I'm getting ready in the morning, and I saw him out there. So I couldn't make out his face, although his hat was way down, and I think I can open up this one too.
Okay.
See, since we have all this stuff going on, I haven't, and we have to have it all fixed. So this one is usually open as well. So you've got a pretty good view.
So Nancy's is up that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you've got a pretty good view, and he was walking down the road, and I always see people and I think, oh, that's my friend Nora, or that's this person or that person. And I saw him and I was like, oh, that guy doesn't fit. So.
And this was sometime around January 11th.
Yes. So my birthday's January 8th. That's
Okay.
why I remember so well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And describe him again?
Well, he was in kind of street clothes, not shoes.
Brian didn't hit her with a happy belated birthday. That's not nice. My birthday is January 8th. Well, happy belated birthday. You didn't even get
That he'd walk in, and he had a baseball hat really low, and he was kind of hunched over, and he was kind of looking around, and he just didn't fit. And he wasn't going terribly quickly like a normal person that's getting exercise. He was kind of going slowly, and when he walked by this street, he really took a long look at it. I noticed that.
And it was enough for you to remember to tell your husband? Yeah.
Yeah. It freaked me out. And I'm not one of those people to be super freaked out by that, but I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like when the FBI came?
You know, they were young and just listening and asking a couple of questions and wanted to know if our Ring camera worked, and it didn't at that time, unfortunately. I don't know if it would have gotten any of the road because our house is so set back. So I don't know if we would have been much help, but just questions like that.
It's interesting, like no one's Ring cameras work in this neighborhood, it seems like.
Well, it's such a safe neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
Is it?
Like, half the time we used to not lock our doors. We do now. Now we have cameras and things like that. But
and thank you for your
I've never even had a package
super
stolen.
chat.
Ever in 23 years. So
it really is one of those, because I heard some people say, oh yeah, it's like one of those places you wouldn't lock your doors, but you really didn't.
Yeah, we really didn't. Yeah, we really didn't. I mean, I had 3 teenagers wandering around here, and yeah, I'd come home and the back door would be wide open. I'm like, who's that? So yeah, never a problem.
Who's
ever.
that?
Do you, Maple's getting kind of anxious here.
Yeah.
Maple, she's so funny. Do you have any, you always walk her.
Check this out.
Do you have any feeling?
I had an uncle who was like, I don't know. He was like 60, 67, 68% homeless. Sometimes it was in the low 90s. But and he would just like, live in the woods and stuff. And I remember one time I pulled up to a stoplight, and he was getting ready to walk across the crosswalk. And he noticed me and he like got in my car, like my truck, like got in and sat down. And he was like, hey, nephew, I'm surprised you don't lock your doors. And I was like, well, that is a mistake that I will not be making anymore. And then he asked if he could eat the Chinese food that was on the floor.
I mean, are people... Do they feel like this is an inside job, or because there's a sense from some that this is someone maybe even like in the neighborhood?
There's actually at a dinner last night there was a discussion about it. It's people that live in this neighborhood, and we're all just throwing things around. Like some people are like, it's for sure a Savannah connection. Some people are like, that guy in the video seemed so lackadaisical that maybe it's a, robbery gone bad. I mean, yeah, I have my theories, but they change.
Oh, it's a true story.
Then when you start thinking about stuff, you're like,
it's a true story.
So I hope we find her and find out.
Are you surprised it's taken this long?
No, because I think someone brought to my attention that a lot of these cases take 30 plus days.
Yep.
So yeah, so I'm not surprised. I was not here the night she was taken, but I arrived home the next morning. And then when we found out she was missing, we all went out looking for her. So I thought we would find her, honestly.
Like it was just some kind of not that serious of a situation?
No,
Yeah.
like she had fallen or just something, yeah.
Were you just out of town that weekend or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Phoenix. I got home on Sunday morning from, my daughter Harper lives in Phoenix.
Okay.
So, yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Probably not.
That must have been, like, what were you thinking when you heard about this?
I was shocked. My elderly mother lives a street away, so I was like, oh my gosh, like this is terrifying, and poor Nancy. And yeah, so we just all kind of went out on foot. We all went driving around. I asked the sheriff a few questions, and he's like, yep, we already did that. I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Your mom lives close?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my sister.
Okay. Are you, I just keep thinking about my mom throughout this whole thing. Like, I think a lot of people are connecting to it because a lot of people have older parents.
Yeah. That dog is up in Brian's Liz app.
And you just kind of worry. Maple, come here, Maple. Come up, Maple. Maple, come up.
Come up.
I think a lot of people
That was hilarious.
think about their parents.
Yeah,
You know
of
what I mean?
course, of
Nancy was 84, and some people were like, "Oh, why would an 84-year-old woman be living alone?" But
Oh, my mom's 87 and lives alone.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to stay in your own home and live your life out. And I mean, I was surprised she didn't have an alarm, but again, I'm kind of not too, right? So, I don't know.
do most people have alarms?
I don't know. We do, but I believe so. I mean, the people kind of my age or younger, I believe they do, yes.
And so, how many did the FBI just come here once?
No, they came quite a few times. Yes. Oh, sorry.
No, it's
guys.
okay.
Sorry.
A dog is out of control.
No, you're good.
Oh, what's Matt doing?
And what were there different questions?
When they spoke to me, they spoke to Matt a few times too. There was definitely different questions. And then we have friends that kind of live in the back of us. So they would be at our house and then go to the friend's house and say, hey, do you know those people? Are they nice? Do you trust them? And they were like, yeah. They're nice people. So yeah, it was interesting. But the questions were pretty normal. They did ask me about January 11th.
Yeah.
And that was about the time I saw the strange guy. So that all kind of connected with me.
What was the date? Do you know the date you saw the strange guy?
You know, it was around the 10th, 11th, or 12th, for sure. Yes.
That's so interesting that it was that same time.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't really know the significance of January 11th besides they keep asking a lot of the neighbors about it. I wonder if that first surveillance photo, remember there's the two photos?
Yeah.
That one might be from January 11th.
It could have been, yeah. I mean, that's probably why it's so significant, yeah.
Did they say anything about January 11th? Like why they were asking you about that?
No, they didn't. I tried to get information out of them. But they wouldn't give me any. Was
there anything else they asked you that was like kind of stood out to you?
No. No. I was kind of more giving them information about the neighborhood because there's an abandoned house at the end of the street and somebody had just moved out next to us and I thought that was kind of weird because they had lived there a long time as well. So I think I probably spoke more than I should have.
No. Are there
the 41 minutes is so, it's just kind of baffling. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. By the way, did anybody, this is completely on a side note here, but did anybody see Team USA baseball lose to Italy? Oh my God.
I mean, I don't want to judge anybody, but are there people in the neighborhood that you've been like concerned about in the past or?
Well, not really. I mean, I kind of know the walkers and definitely around the holidays, you'll see the people that who are winter visitors and things like that. So no, nobody that I've ever run into that I thought was
to Italy.
God, no.
No one like really creepy or anything.
I don't know. No.
Not really, no.
I don't know if I want to say that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Because I don't want them to like.
Yeah.
freak
Well,
out.
and you don't have to give the name. I just didn't know if.
No, I think there's a lot of weird people that live in this neighborhood. Yeah,
and
for sure.
have people been telling the FBI about that, you think? Like kind of telling them who they think?
Yes, I think so. Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially my neighbor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your neighbor has?
Yes. Yeah.
Something that stood out to them? Or?
Yeah, because he walks his little dogs every day and was telling me actually yesterday about all the different things that he noticed. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because again, I just go back, and I don't have any evidence of this, but like so many of the former FBI agents I've spoken to have just said a lot of times it's someone close.
I'm not even kidding. They said that the way that they recruited, the way that they recruited for the Italian baseball team was they would send a fresh tank top, like what is essentially called a wife beater, and that in any time they would hit a home run, they would all take a shot of an espresso. I'm not kidding. They were taking shots of espresso.
Yeah. Right? You just never know.
I mean, how more stereotypical could you get?
No. I don't know. I was hearing about phone towers being pinged and things like that. And, you know, because in the Kohlberger case, that was a definite thing that was a thing, right? There was a time frame.
Oh, you want to come play baseball for our team? Oh.
I don't know. I hope it's not anybody in our neighborhood. That would be scary. It might be, you know, somebody that maybe visits a neighborhood a lot. I don't know. It's really sad and really scary because my kids used to ride their bikes around by themselves and walk down to the neighbors' houses and things like that. So
your kids, did they grow up in this house?
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So what do they think about all this?
Well, my son was telling me, he's like, oh, I know that because they used to just play out in the desert. It was kind of like the 70s where the kids would just disperse and be gone half the day and come home to eat. So he knows that wash very well that runs parallel to Minna Vista. It's a big canyon down there. Behind Nancy's, they would play. I mean, so he said I could help find her.
Because there's kind of an open area behind Nancy's, I noticed. So I was looking in one of the neighbors' backyards he was showing me, and it's like open desert back there.
Yeah, open desert.
Just kind of in between the houses, I guess.
Yeah, it looks like it could be a lot that someone just didn't build on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which has made me wonder, I mean, someone could come through the back, probably.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's probably how they got in, yeah.
And when you talk about the washes, I'm from Florida. So like, what are those?
So they're where the water runs. Like you just witnessed a storm. Sorry, Maple. Sorry.
Okay.
So you just witnessed a storm, and so that goes on in July, like for an hour, and it floods these river beds that we call washes, and some of them are huge, and you'd never know they were there. So there's definite ways to, to navigate the Catalina foothills through washes.
And a wash is it like a trench?
All right.
It's like a big trench, right, where the water is it's kind of like a river. So they are rivers. They're really dangerous, actually, in July when the monsoons come and they run. Like you aren't supposed to drive. Some of them go over the road. You're not supposed to drive through it, things like that. So.
You said there's one near here?
There's actually two, big ones that definitely, I saw the searchers in there and I'm like, good, I'm glad they're down in there because that would be a place you could, hide.
So, and you could use those to get in and out of the neighborhood?
Oh yeah, they all connect.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is that because I went in a tunnel close by? Is that kind of the same system, sort of?
Yeah, it all runs down to the Rito River, which runs parallel to River Road.
Okay.
That big one where you cross the bridge to go get into the city from Campbell Avenue. You'll go over a big bridge. They all rush down into there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, because like I said, I've always wondered. I mean, there's so many people are focused on the road and the cameras.
Happy birthday to you. Oh God. Okay. I think I've had it with her.
Facing the road, but what if it was?
Well,
Because you could probably get around here through the back ways.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And
she's telling everybody how they can break into her house. So that's not good. Yeah, we're gonna have to switch it up.
And just left.
I can't handle this. I need some aggression. Where's Nancy Grace? I didn't watch her. I didn't watch it yesterday, but
Savannah.
Oh, dude, check. Oh yeah. Okay, I'll go back and just in case we need her social security number too. Guys, most of the people in this neighborhood do not have alarms.
Guthrie's mother.
Oh my God.
Mother Nancy Guthrie missing day 38. This as tonight we learn her last known whereabouts may be tracked through her hearing aids. Not only that, how is a vanishing car taking center stage in the search for Nancy Guthrie and an alleged sighting of Nancy Guthrie, quote, south of the border? Is it real? It certainly cannot be discounted. And also, Savannah Guthrie's sister, Annie Guthrie, has been the subject of accusations, insults, and more online, even suggestions she had something to do with her mother's kidnap and that she is actually the porch guy.
Well, you should take that up with Ashley Banfield. Is it really somebody else's birthday? Am I getting trolled here? Happy birthday to you.
Much of this is centering on the fact that one of the family vehicles was towed away and processed. That has somehow been extrapolated into theories that she really is the perp. Tonight, answers to where is Annie Guthrie's vehicle. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
My Thea, that's how she is. She looks surprised constantly, but she draws her eyebrows on, and just does like one big golden arch, and just walks around surprised all day. Even when she's not surprised, she's surprised. Yeah, it's from 8 hours ago.
Joining us now, special guest Heather Barnhart. You know her well. She's a digital forensic expert with Celebrite and the SANS Institute. One of the digital forensic investigators that cracked the Brian Koberger case, may he rot in hell.
She always goes, "Oh, mijo, I think I saw a ghost." I'm like, no, you didn't. You just drew your eyebrows on. Extra Archie.
Co-author of Practical Mobile Forensics, now in its 4th edition. There's that much demand for it. Heather Barnhart, thank you for being with us. Hearing aid.
Chris is on this one tonight. He is? Let me see. Oh, dude. Our boy's on here. Ground control. I don't see Chris on here at all. Where is he? Dave Mack's on here. You guys want Zelensky back? Really? I don't even know do I have him? All right, there he is. Who's on there? I don't see him. I scrolled this whole friggin' thing. I don't see. I see Dave Mack. Do not see McDonald's.
I'm now figuring out that hearing aids can be tracked. Many people point out that Nancy Guthrie's hearing aids were left behind, but we're also learning she may have had a second pair that she was wearing at the time she was kidnapped. How can that help us find Nancy Guthrie?
That's a little tricky, Nancy. That's the issue. Her phone will track everything associated to those hearing aids because they pair through Bluetooth. You can actually use hearing aids as you would AirPods. You could FaceTime, you can listen to music through them. So that
Seriously? Dude, you can FaceTime with your hearing aids?
that connectivity is
You're telling me that you could hit a Spotify playlist at the gym, like an R&B cool, I don't know, Backstreet Boys or All for One.
important to the phone.
I'll make love to you like you want me to.
However, just like we talked about Wi-Fi in the past and Bluetooth, a suspect's
Okay, wait a
device.
minute. Heather Barnhart, you are talking to us mere mortals. So you're going DEFCON 4 on me. Something you just said, okay, my husband played various sports, including football in high school, and something happened and he lost partial hearing in one ear. So sometimes he uses an aid for the ear, but he has a set. So sometimes when we're listening to a book on tape, we actually split the hearing aid so we can listen no matter how.
Oh my God. She really does that. Donna, thank you so much, Donna, for gifting a lab membership.
Busy it is, it can be an airport and we can still hear the book on tape. It can be anything and we can hear through that hearing aid. Now, I think that's what you just said. You can listen to music.
Exactly. They
okay,
become
could
your
you just start over and slow it down?
Wait, what just happened?
Music.
Exactly. They
okay,
become
could
your
you just start over and slow it
Why
down?
is it everybody's off tonight.
Slow it down. Go
Sure.
25 mph instead of 100 mph.
Okay. Think of modern hearing aids as you would AirPods or headphones. You plug them into your ears. You can listen to audiobooks. You can listen to music. You can FaceTime. That requires a connection to a device. So if I have hearing aids in right now, and Nancy, you and I are in the same room, your phone could possibly ping my Bluetooth of my hearing aids because I could connect to yours. I can connect to mine. So anything that it's available for.
Yeah, did Nancy just say that when she listens to a book on tape, she splits a hearing aid with somebody?
Connections, this happens. Think about on an airplane. If you try to connect your headphones and you see other people's headphones around in the name of their phone and their computer, it's just like that.
Okay, I'm learning a lot right now. So, regarding the
he is on
hearing aids of Nancy Guthrie's, a lot of people have spares. My mom, who lives with us, she's got 3 sets of hearing aids. Modern hearing aids can be tracked using smartphone apps and Bluetooth technology. They can also show historical data. Heather Barnhart, we hear the experts talking about historical data. All that means is, here's an example.
Yeah, you might as well be sharing Q-tips at that point. It's pretty disgusting.
We have Life 360, and I can make it go to historical data, which means if I'm
not ear-holing anything that's already been ear-holed by somebody else.
I want to find out where's
it's not happening. I mean, it doesn't matter. Wife, brother, sister, cousin. Doesn't matter.
Lucy. And I see, oh, she's having frozen yogurt. If I hit historical data, I can see she went to school, she went to McDonald's, and now she is at the tutors, and now she's having frozen yogurt, and she's on her way home. Historical. I can see the history of where she's been. So how would that help me?
It would be the key to everything on Nancy's location if she had her phone with
Justin,
her.
you son of a gun.
So her phone is tied to those hearing aids and tied to her pacemaker. The fact that her phone is left behind, I'm sure investigators looked to see if they could ping that and get a location. And they either did, and they're holding that close to them, or they fell short. But if she had her phone with her, you would be able to do exactly what you just said, Nancy.
Now, we saw at the get-go, well, it wasn't the get-go because Nanos waited so long before he brought in the feds. That was a delay. Then they started using the signal sniffer, and they were looking for a Bluetooth connection, and they had to go really low to the ground with those drones bearing the Blue Fly signal sniffer on them, strapped to them, trying to find a connection to her pace.
Why would anybody? Why would anybody do this to an 84-year-old woman? Like, take her out of her home. I just doesn't understand. Like, I don't understand why. Like, what could possibly be the reason? Payback for what?
Maker. Now, that is through Bluetooth technology, but you're telling me that the hearing aids are not just Bluetooth. By the way, this is from Blue Fly on YouTube, but cellular as well. If they,
Justin, there's a lot of people that think that,
hearing aids are paired with her cell phone app.
They are still just Bluetooth. It's just the form of communication that they talk with the device is Bluetooth technology. So same as your headphones.
Okay. Most brands of modern hearing aids have a fine.
So you turn a robbery into a death penalty case? Like, that doesn't make any sense either.
My feature with their respective smartphone apps. Now, let me understand, Heather Barnhart. I've had many cases where family and friends use Find My iPhone to figure out where their missing loved one is or was, and they actually do find the phone. It works. So how does that work with Nancy Guthrie's hearing aids?
If Find My is associated to her device, and I have my phone here, that's what I keep looking at. If you have hearing aids paired with that device, there is a database on her phone that examiners should be able to look at and see her last known location. But in order for that to work, they'd have to be paired for that. And I've lost my own AirPods several times. I've lost my iPad, and I use Find My to locate it. It does work really well, and it will show.
It doesn't work that well. Like, it works okay. I've scanned Otis's belly for my AirPods before. One of them was stuck in his cheek. But there is a thing where you can kind of go like, I had him laying on the side, and I was like,
the last known location until the device is no longer.
I mean, not really. It doesn't work that well.
Active. So if the hearing aids lose a charge, it won't be available anymore.
Yeah, and Find My iPhone or Find My iPad can work far, far away as long as it can connect to a signal.
What do you mean far, far? I know that it can't work far, far away.
Now, also, wouldn't it show, if it's connected through the app, which I have no reason to think it is not, wouldn't it show the last place the hearing aids were before they lost power?
Yes. Nancy, you should do forensics. Yes, it would.
No, she shouldn't. So what do you like the movie Misery, you think, Golden Girlie?
They really would.
Also, doesn't it show how the battery has reduced? Like you see when the battery goes dead in the hearing aids.
It depends on the app. So it could show that. It may not. It may just show last known communication or last known location. And typically that's when the connected device battery dies. That's all you'll see.
Okay. Another thing. The reason I care so much about these hearing aids, assuming she was wearing her second pair, even if the battery's gone dead now, it could show me her last known location which would give me a direction as to where she was taken.
Absolutely. And my friend and I have researched hearing aids in the past, and we know the exact databases. So if investigators need help on finding it, we can help you. They can reach out. We'll tell them exactly where to look on that phone to get
help.
this information.
Trust me.
Well, tell me now, where do you look on the phone to get the information?
So you need a full file system acquisition. I know that's very nerdy now, Nancy, but it essentially gives you access to all of the
Okay,
system
first of all, what
files.
is that?
True. Not the same thing.
You would use the Celebrite and extract the phone. It's the best acquisition you can get. So everything that the user thinks doesn't exist, like in Idaho, that's what we use to get his log file showing how he powered down the device and all his intentions. It will show all of those databases on the device and what was connected and last known locations. And it's all associated to Find My.
Okay, so 2 places in the Find My app, which would be Find My iPhone, Find My iPad, Find My hearing aid, Find My tile that I stuck to my suitcase and it was left the Lord only knows where. That's what you mean by the Find My app. It would apply to all of those things. So there's the Find My app, and then there's the what other thing?
So the Bluetooth will track Bluetooth that were seen, even if not paired, Bluetooth that were paired, and then last known paired devices and the last.
So she's saying that it could show the last place that it paired, but what would it matter if they're dead?
Last time it talked to the device.
Heather,
it's 2026, and they have. Let's just be honest. They have no freaking idea where she is. I mean, I'm. This is what I'm picking up from it.
Did you know that, for instance, the disposable zinc air hearing aid batteries typically last up to 22 days? Typically last up to 22 days. If this is possible, we could learn a lot, Heather Barnhart.
Yes, we could.
Now, you said you had worked and researched hearing aid cases before. Like what? I'm very curious. I've never heard of another case where that was used. I thought I'd come up with a novel approach. Tell me about it.
Well, you actually did come up with a novel approach, and the only reason I know this was preparing to talk about Nancy's pacemaker. One of my really good friends, he has hearing aids. He was a law enforcement officer from shooting range. He had some hearing damage. So he looks at his own device and does forensic research and told me all the places that his hearing aids were tracked on his phone. So it was wild when you asked me this. I was like, I actually know the answer.
Such as where? Where was he tracked? I'm very curious how this has worked in the past.
This was just forensic research. So I don't know of anyone who has used hearing aids tied to a forensic investigation. Maybe they have, but you asking this is the first time I've ever publicly spoken about it.
Well, where were his hearing aids tracked?
Find My in a database specific to his hearing aid brand and in Bluetooth.
Heather, you'll be amazed at what I learned last night, although actually being you may already know this. James Bass, another expert, was with us, and he was describing how Google and Apple and probably others track you 24/7, 365. Not in a creepy way. They're tracking your device, but they keep that information. He referred to it as in the background. My point is that he had worked on an joint terrorism task force, and they were actually at a secret location sifting through data, top secret data, his words, not mine. And he looked back years later, and he could see where his iPhone had been at this secret location. He could tell a bench where he sat at the lunch break. All of this is happening all the time. And I'm just wondering, what does that mean to me tonight with you? How can that help me if she did have on the second pair of hearing aids?
Who's Ian? Zelensky? No, he's right there.
Is it trackable? I'm grasping at straws. I'm trying anything, Heather.
Yeah, so exactly what he said, all of that is stored in the cloud. Your Google data, your cloud data. When I extract my own, and I do it for forensic research, I have data and passwords and locations back through 2013, Nancy, on exactly where I was in different cities. If I was in an Uber, all of these things are tracked. and it's for ads and historical information, but you can recover that if you get search warrants for cloud.
But the pacemaker, that battery is that cannot be dead. The pacemaker's still got to be active. Those things go for days, years.
So many people are struggling to keep up with credit card payments every single month. American Financing can help you take advantage of the home equity you have built up, and then you can say goodbye in average. He leads a team at Brian Fitzgibbons,
the leaner, that's what we call him.
The Director of Operations at USPA Nationwide Security. What is that?
I just want Dave Mack. We need Dave Mack.
He leads a team of experts. They go around the world finding missing people, including extracting them from Mexico. He is a former Marine and an Iraqi war vet. That said, Brian Fitzgibbons, thank you for being with us. I want to talk to you about the alleged sighting. I want you to get the facts first, to Dave Mack joining us, Crime Stories investigative reporter. Okay, tell me.
Dude, the Mac attack is back, Jack.
About the alleged sighting of Nancy Guthrie.
This is
oh, dude, his audio is worse than mine.
Vague commentary. We don't know
This is a vague commentary.
Exactly where she was seen or exactly who she was with. But we have an eyewitness claiming that they saw Nancy Guthrie south of the border with the alleged kidnappers. And they're very serious about knowing it was Nancy. So we've got this positive identification of Nancy Guthrie in Mexico.
Dave Mack, you are insisting that the information is very vague, and there's a reason for that.
He's on the International Space Station today. He said a tipster did. Hold on. Let's hear this again.
This is a vague commentary. We don't know exactly where she was seen or exactly who she was with, but we have an eyewitness claiming that they saw Nancy Guthrie south of the border with the alleged kidnappers. And they're very serious about knowing it was Nancy. So we've got this positive identification of Nancy Guthrie in Mexico.
Dave Mack, you are insisting that the information is very vague, and there's a reason for that. The tipster, the informant, is willing to, allegedly, provide more exact information in exchange for what?
Money.
Bitcoin. This person wants 1 Bitcoin, which is worth just south of $70,000. And that's what the tipster, the witness, wants to provide the information. 1 Bitcoin.
Guess what? While you have been talking right now, Dave Mack,
bullshit.
1 Bitcoin has increased in value up to $71,406.78. 1 Bitcoin, $71.406, $71,000. So they're saying they've got info, but you're going to have to pay to get it. Now, do you have the exact verbiage of the missive?
Word for word. I know what I saw 5 days ago south of the border.
His audio is so bad. Word for word, I know what I saw south of the border 25 days ago, and I want a Bitcoin, you son of a gun. That's a quote, Nancy.
And I was told to shut up. So I know who he is, and that was definitely Nancy with them. Plural, them.
Them. Okay, straight back to our expert, Brian Fitzgibbons, joining us, USPA Nationwide Security. If you're in Tucson, what would be considered south of the border?
I don't think he's wearing any pants.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about most likely the Nogales area, which is the closest border crossing directly to the south of Tucson, approximately 70 miles down the highway.
Take a look at this map. 70 miles away. Why did you go with Nogales right off the top?
That's the closest major point of entry, border crossing. So, even veteran Pima County Sheriff Kurt Dabb indicated to us earlier that this is definitely what they would be talking about, and any person in that area, that's where they.
He's like announcing, like, Hitler has opened up a war on two fronts. Can you believe it? Two fronts. Never been done in history before, Nancy. Can you believe it? He's going right after the Russians, the Red Army, son of a gun. Look at him go.
They would cross.
I would think from Tucson, south of the border, would of course refer to the international border with Mexico. It's only about 60 miles south on Interstate 19, as I recall. It could be Nogales, as Fitz has just pointed out, Sonora. I'm also wondering if it could include other areas. I mean, you've got to look at it regionally. What is south of the border from somebody in New York versus somebody in Arizona, specifically Tucson, can mean a lot of different things. But you believe it is more likely than not Nogales?
Yeah, this email is referring, first of all, in general terms, that they're saying south of the border in Mexico, right? And now, if we take it one step further, that's the most likely border crossing that we'd be dealing with for Mrs. Guthrie if she is indeed in Mexico to have crossed.
Okay, and again, Heather Barnhart was explaining how if the battery was still alive, it could be traced even as far as Mexico, like a tile you put on your suitcase. Now, I want to ask you, this is what you do every day, day in, day out. When you get a sighting like this, and we cannot discount it, we can't. I remember a case vividly, in fact, Dave Mack, I believe you and I worked on it together, of Shasta and Dylan Groney, a little boy and his big sister, who was also a little girl, were playing outside. It was in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and I recall distinctly, Brian Fitzgibbons, that the aerial we did, you look down, you see nothing. It looks like a plate of broccoli. Nothing but green. Not near any metropolitan area. A guy was driving along the interstate, looked over and sees Shasta Groney in the family's above-ground pool. No connection to them at all. Pulls off, lies in wait, then murders the whole family.
Crazy.
And kidnaps Shasta and Dylan. We have been putting out Shasta's picture, Dylan's picture, over and over and over. A woman had seen photos of Shasta at, I guess, a Quick Check or a Quick Trip or some convenience store and recognized her. And that sighting led to saving her life and recovering Dylan's body.
Golly.
It happens.
I remember hearing about that case. It's just like terrible.
Sightings work. And there are many, many others I could recount. That said, the point is we cannot take it for granted. So practically speaking, what's the first thing you do when you get a tip like this?
Yeah, and the first step is very practical, right? We're going to analyze that tip in its entirety, what time it came in, the words that are being used. And first, hey, it came in on email. We're going to want to open up a dialogue. We're going to craft an email back.
I think the girl was, but in the boy's body was found.
To try to begin that dialogue. That's step one. Now, what's happening at the same time, every email contains a tremendous amount of routing information. This is contained in the header. So this is going to be a more technological effort where we're trying to ascertain the IP address, the internet service provider, the email provider, where this message originated from. Even if it's hidden behind a VPN, there are methods that law enforcement can use to subpoena that email provider, like a Google or a Proton Mail, and they can subpoena the internet service provider to get more detailed logs to start getting behind that VPN. So those two efforts will happen simultaneously. One is very simple. Send a message back and try to open up a dialogue. The second is going to be a technological effort to try to find out where it came from and who it came from.
When you send people in, for instance, to, quote, south of the border, let's just pretend it's Nogales. How do you pick your team and how do you infiltrate?
Hey, Tiger, this is a hardwood. This brand is the Hardwood Classic. So, I mean, if you probably search it, you could probably find it through the Hardwood Classic.
Well, it's less theatrical than you would think. And I've said this before in connection with this case, that almost everything that's successful with Mexico will begin and end with a good diplomatic effort through the State Department and connections with local Mexican authorities. That's number one, first and foremost. The second piece is...
Put him up, please. I want to talk to you about that before you go to your next point. There are huge swaths of uncultivated land, much of it desert. Huge, thousands and thousands of acres where a lot of dead bodies are. That said, there is extreme corruption. Unlike anything, we think we know corruption in the U.S., you ain't seen nothing, okay, compared to the corruption within the Mexican police force. And beyond, not just the police force, but dignitaries as well. So you're going to be battling that, and then you've got the influence of the cartel.
No, this is not his business face. This is just his face. This is how he looks. He's all gas, no brakes.
Heavily influenced. In fact, they control large areas of land. So that in mind, what do you do?
Yeah, it's not what we would call a permissive environment. Okay, so you have government officials, police, all on the payroll of various criminal organizations like the cartels. And I'll add this, that in a typical kidnap and ransom case, you're going to have much more clearly defined terms, a organized communication pattern that's going to happen quickly, and they're going to want to get paid. When we're talking about generating tips from the public, south of the border, those tips are going to be fewer and hard to come by for fear of retribution, given all of that corruption and connection to the criminal enterprises.
So how do you pick your team and how do you infiltrate? That was my question before I led us down the garden path.
Yeah, so, hey, the team has to be local to Mexico, and, you know, any U.S. operatives, our team is made up of former Tier 1 special operators. We have former SEALs, former Army Rangers that are well equipped to operate in an environment like Mexico.
I like this guy. Not as much as Dave, but I like this guy. I think he's pretty good. He has an odd way of sitting, but so do I.
Mexico, dealing with local national contacts and local authorities. So that's the number one thing, is the ability to communicate, the ability to utilize that local network inside of the Mexican government.
So Brian Fitzgibbons, USPA Nationwide Security, when you get a tip such as this one, first of all, I'm suspicious because it was sent to a media outlet, TMZ, and not to authorities. Two, there is a $1.2+ million reward. Why not go for that? Why are you wanting one Bitcoin to the tune of $71,000?
Jason, they're going to talk about the jammer on this. I just looked ahead. Or the walkie-talkie or whatever. There's
a lot of questions, but how do you determine if the tip is valid? I mean, to know the answers to those questions I just asked, you'd have to crawl into the head of this person. And you got to remember, they may be afraid or may hate the police. They're not like you and I with military or law enforcement backgrounds.
I think he's good too.
Like I always say, who do you think is going to be hanging around with the defendant, the kidnapper? Nuns and priests and virgins? No. Somebody like a tipster, just like this, that wants money and wants nothing to do with the feds at all. So we can't begin to comprehend their thinking. Forget it. That said, what do you look for in a tip to convince yourself, if possible, that it's valid?
Yes, some things that jump off the page with particularly good tips that we've received with past cases is very specific information about the victim or about the case itself that isn't widely known, hasn't been put out on YouTube or any articles about the case. Yeah, this could be anything from, you know, I know I'm not saying Mrs. Guthrie has a tattoo, but a tattoo, a physical limitation or wound, a location that hasn't been described. So this is in general terms, but it's something specific about that victim or the case that wouldn't be known by the press or the public.
Hi guys, Nancy Grace here. Family, the analysis was nothing. Don't look here. There's no connection to Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. Now we learn that video is being carefully deconstructed to determine, does it reveal a clue?
I've heard that
as to the vehicle that took Nancy Guthrie away the night she was kidnapped. This is from our friends at Fox News Digital. Heather Barnhart, I want to talk about the jammer, what we believe to be either a jammer or a walkie-talkie.
I don't think it's a jammer, man. I really, really don't.
And it is there you go. It's sticking out of his pocket. There
your gun is sticking into my side.
You go. Right there. Thank you, control room. Here's a new idea. Could a jammer be used to create a vanishing car? A car that you can see, but you can't track.
They actually can. They'll block cellular, Wi-Fi, and GPS from all technologies, including cars.
How would that work in common sense and, practically speaking?
So these devices are highly illegal because they can cause mass damage. They could take down 911 capabilities, air traffic. So it usually will span a few meters up to a kilometer. So
that's what I was thinking. All the jammers that I've ever seen have more than one antenna.
Anything with
it does look like a walkie-talkie. Do I think a jammer was used in Sebastian's case? I don't.
In that radius will not be able to make calls. This includes your Nest cameras and Ring cameras that are connected to cellular and Wi-Fi. Those would go out. Internet would go out. Cellular would go out. Vehicles would remain undetected from satellites.
So, Heather Barnhart, going forward, when I say that to the twins, they know something bad is about to be said.
Must be a common occurrence.
Going forward.
Look, going forward, you can no longer write F you mommy on the wall.
Look,
okay.
Look around. You're in the U.S. Okay, we use imperial. When you speak of kilometers, you mean what, a little over a mile?
Yes.
Okay. So a jammer can work up to a little over a mile?
Yes. And it depends on the quality of the one that you bought.
Okay. So the vehicles in and around Nancy Guthrie's home the night she was kidnapped, if a jammer was used, it could jam the car's GPS. So now we can't track it. It's essentially become a vanishing car.
It does. It does become a vanishing car. It's as if it did not exist in those locations.
Dave Mack, let's nail down the times that we believe these cars went by, starting at, this is the night of Nancy's kidnapping, 1:34 a.m., I believe, 1:34
right.
a.m. What happens?
Right. Okay. At 1:34 a.m.,
Dave Mack is back.
A car is spotted moving east to west towards Nancy Guthrie's home. Then, at 1:41 a.m., a car going west to east away from Nancy Guthrie's home. Now, at 1:47, that's the Nest camera being disabled on the front porch that we've seen. 2:12 a.m., that's when the motion detector inside the house was detected. At 2:28, Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker disconnected from her Apple Watch. Then, 2:52 a.m., another vehicle seen moving east to west towards Nancy's home. So, as we're looking at this timeline, Nancy, there's a thought that we've got a vehicle moving towards Nancy's house, dropping off the potential suspect, then leaving, returning to the area.
Well, he's right. To Brian Fitzgibbons, the quote, getaway car, and that's certainly used in a very loose sense of the definition. They're not going to just sit right outside of Nancy Guthrie's home while the kidnapper goes in. That car, the vehicle, is not going to be right there and citable. It's going to be off-site for a portion of the time anyway, until it comes back to get the perp and Mrs. Guthrie. So what do you make of these times and the fact that if that jammer had been used, guys, let's see the video of what we believe may be a jammer on the porch guy's pocket.
We're jamming, bro.
That jammer, as Heather has told us, can also jam the GPS on the vehicle. So what do these times mean to you? 1:34, 1:41, 47, 2:12, 2:28, 2:52 a.m. in Nancy's neighborhood.
Yes, so I think it's important to frame it with the fact that we have a pretty solid timeline about what occurred at Mrs. Guthrie's home. The first time someone's seen by the camera to the time that her pacemaker disconnects from her phone. And that was a roughly 40 some odd minute period. When we look at the timeline derived from the videos of these vehicles, I think what stands out is that it almost fits in, right? That, the vehicles passing, coming towards Mrs. Guthrie's home and then going away from it would align with potentially this subject and another individual being dropped off. And then
I just do not believe that's a jammer. Like under any circumstances, there's a jammer in their pocket. I don't think that. I think that it's a walkie-talkie. I mean,
and once they finish whatever they've done inside the residence to prepare her to move, they now pick them up and leave. So I think that's the thing that stands out to me, is that it does align with the known timeline that we have.
I think that.
And of course, Brian Fitzgibbons, this video is from our friends at Fox News. Brian, they may very well have left from an alternate route instead of going back and forth the same way. That's how Molly Tippett's killer was found. Video of his vehicle as he approached her. She's a co-ed, studying that evening, went out for a jog, and the perp kept approaching her in his vehicle, going back and forth and using the same route. And because of that distinctive markings on his vehicle.
Let me see what. Well, I disagree with you. You are a genius, I think. Your phone call sounded. You're very intelligent. I do not understand why no other guest has explained that we would not have video footage and motion alert on the time on the timeline. Yeah. I don't know. I have no idea.
Were identified.
I mean, that's a good point. Jason, do you think that they have more video from inside the house? Do you think is that possible?
In the cam, and that's how they found him. So it's very possible the perp used a different exit route as opposed to the entry route, and could have gone back and forth multiple times. A drop off, a leave, a return, a leave, a return to get Nancy Guthrie and the perp, and then leave through a different route. In fact, I would expect them to use a second route to leave.
Yeah, very possible. And there's plenty of opportunity. If you take a look at the map of that neighborhood, there are multiple routes.
I think that there was a major. Well, I say major. I think that there was a crime scene, like a very disturbed. I think it was disturbed in that house. I really do.
That they could have used to egress from that location.
any of these routes would have worked. And having dealt with many, many getaway cars from many, many different types of felonies, I guarantee you they had it all figured out before they went in. Now, if you look at the timeline that Dave Mack was discussing, you may think, oh, well, the last time a car was sighted on the cam we're showing you from our friends at Fox, the vehicle was heading back toward Nancy's house.
Yeah.
Now, take into account everything Brian Fitzgibbons told you and we've discussed. Going back to Nancy's to get Nancy and the perp and then leave from an alternate route would make perfect sense. Annie Guthrie and her family have been subjected to a lot of social media attacks, even suggesting that Annie Guthrie is the porch guy. That said, lingering questions around why one of their family vehicles was impounded. Joining us now, a face you know well, Chris McDonough, former homicide detective, now the star of The Interview Room on YouTube. Chris McDonough, thank you for being with us. Chris, I want to talk about the vehicle, the fact that it was seized, it was completely taken apart, and that took some time to put it back together. What's happening?
There could be some, hey, this is a big time problem here. Let's put it back together. And, we used to, every agency in the country or every municipality, county has a risk management group, right? And it's those people that show up and after the cops had, kick the door down and say, hey, here's a check for your damages, if, they were in the wrong, okay? But if they were in the right and the probable cause was there, they're just going to say, sorry, here, don't sell dope out of your house anymore.
I see what you're saying,
Oh, that was awesome.
So, bottom line, they take the whole vehicle apart looking for evidence such as fiber, hair, blood. A lot of that would be found in the car anyway, to Brian Fitzgibbons joining us, USPA Nationwide Security. You would expect...
That was funny. I mean, that was...
to find...
You want to see it again?
Nancy,
they were in the wrong.
Basically, what he's saying is that if they have probable cause and they rip your house apart because of the probable cause, they basically tell you, well, too bad. Maybe you shouldn't be doing what you're doing. Maybe you shouldn't be selling dope out of your house. Cracked himself up.
Okay. But if they were in the right and the probable cause was there, they're just going to say, sorry, here, don't sell dope out of your house anymore.
I see what you're saying, McDonough. So, bottom line, they take the whole vehicle apart looking for evidence such as fiber, hair, blood. A lot of that would be found in the car anyway, to Brian Fitzgibbons joining us, USPA Nationwide Security. You would expect to find Nancy Guthrie's DNA in the car because she's ridden in the Annie Guthrie car many times. So you're going to find hair, DNA, fibers, and so forth.
One of the things that and I know a lot of you guys watch The Interview Room. And if you have for any amount of time, you would understand, Chris has a great sense of humor. He loves to laugh and he laughs all the time. He really does.
But that would not be unusual. But they probably also looked at the time for blood, which might be unusual, maybe even for soil.
Ugh.
So
I just I just want to know what the inside. I mean, I want to know, but not that I demand to. But what the inside of that house looked like. I mean, they called in homicide fast.
You have to take apart a car like that. You literally take it apart. I mean, they may be...
Yeah, I've been on The Interview Room before, and he comes on this show a lot too.
Using an MVAC, which is used on upholstery to get minuscule DNA And you do have to take the car apart, take the seats out, everything to try to find that type of DNA, and it takes a long time.
Yeah, certainly. And you know, I think we have to add in the fact that we, at this point, could be pretty certain that Mrs. Guthrie was targeted. And they certainly would have been looking through every possible crevice of that vehicle for a tracking
What up,
device.
Joey?
We know that Annie Guthrie regularly drove Mrs. Guthrie here, there, and elsewhere. So it's very possible that they could have been tearing it apart to try to find a tracking device to see if there was some nefarious application there.
So, bottom line to you, Dave Mack, your sources are telling you what about Annie Guthrie's car?
Oh, no.
That the Pima County Sheriff's Office has sent the car to the automotive repair shop for it to be put back together in the same condition it was when they got it from Annie Guthrie to return it to the family. That's what I'm being told.
Dave,
is his jacket velour?
Mac, actually, what I'm learning tonight is the vehicle.
I don't know if any of you saw when Buddy went to town on his bed in the background. Chris is like, oh, I'll be right back.
Is at Watson Chevrolet being repaired. Not sure why. If you know or think you know anything regarding the disappearance of
it's Velvet
Nancy Guthrie or her whereabouts, please dial toll-free 800-225-5324. Or, if you wish to remain anonymous, 520-882-7463. There is a $1.2+ million reward for information leading to the whereabouts of Nancy Guthrie. Reminder, this does not have to lead to an arrest or a conviction. $1.2+ million reward. Thank you to our guests.
Yeah, Buddy will be at CrimeCon.
Being with us tonight, but especially to you for being with us.
Okay. Let's see. Give me a second here. I am curious what. Let me see what Vinny has to say here. Hold on.
And relatives to ask, why did he take Nancy real time out in Tucson? Ask, and why did he take Nancy?
Is he Catholic? I like that cross.
Here's the story.
Karen needs her own square. I think they're next to each other, right?
84-year-old Nancy Guthrie vanished from her Catalina Foothills home after she never made it to church, and relatives discovered something was terrible.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's basically good. Buddy went to town on that thing. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised she said the name of the dealership. I was shocked, to be honest with you. I have a feeling Chris was getting a good laugh. Yeah, I'm telling you. The only people that can get the reward are people that know what happened and
Terribly wrong inside. Authorities quickly shifted from a missing person search to a criminal investigation, saying the evidence points to an abduction, not a voluntary disappearance. Surveillance video shows a masked individual outside her home in the dark of night, armed with a weapon. Blood confirmed to be Nancy's was found on the property. Ransom letters surfaced. The FBI joined the investigation. Now the case has drawn.
Yeah, but the people that could get the reward, they're the ones that did this.
National attention.
You can't turn yourself in and still get the reward and go to prison. Or maybe you can.
Fueled by Nancy's connection.
You can't, but that would be an interesting conundrum.
To her daughter, Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Who is the person captured on camera? Are the ransom demands credible? And as thousands of tips flood in, what critical piece of evidence could finally lead authorities to Nancy? Hard to believe that we're still here waiting for an answer, waiting for a suspect, waiting for someone to be arrested, waiting for Nancy Guthrie to be found after all this time. But this is where we are. Let's bring in Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas. Cody, great to see you tonight. We know things are slowing down a little bit in terms of the activity out there, but what is the latest that's happening right now in this investigation and in around Nancy's neighborhood?
Yeah, things are slowing down. It was another quiet weekend out there in the Catalina foothills, out there in front of Nancy Guthrie's house. Practically no media out there at all anymore in that neighborhood. But Vinny, there was chatter making its way through the headlines about a body found miles away in Phoenix, Arizona, but it turned out to be unrelated to this case.
Yeah.
Now, the New York Post reported this, saying authorities have identified the battered body of a woman who was found dead near a canal in Phoenix, and it's not Nancy Guthrie. The remains were found on Friday, more than 100 miles from Tucson, where the 84-year-old mom of Today Show star Savannah Guthrie was kidnapped 5 weeks ago. The woman has been identified as Alex Fleming, 42 years old.
No, I didn't watch the goth lady.
According to KTAR. But then we have another slight development here in this investigation. The New York Post also reported this, saying more than 5 weeks after the suspected abduction of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of Today co-host Savannah Guthrie, Arizona authorities say cadaver dogs used earlier in the investigation are not currently being deployed as the search continues.
Yeah, no.
The elder Guthrie is believed to have been kidnapped from her.
There's no, I'm not watching this. This looks kind of interesting. Did anybody watch this yesterday? I'm not going to watch the whole hour.
Everyone, I'm Ashley Banfield, and this is Drop Any Suspicious People in Nancy Woodrum's Mystery. It widened into this massive long list of possible suspects before the investigators actually did uncover the real truth, the very disturbing truth of what happened to Nancy. And that gives me hope they did find out what happened to Nancy Woodrum. It took a long time, y'all. It took a very long time. And it took a lot of people that they had to clear along the way until they found out who did it.
I'm kind of amazed that she's sort of ignoring the fact that she didn't just like drop this enormous bomb at the beginning of this case. She doesn't give a damn at all. That seems to not have panned out to shiz.
But Nancy Woodrum, not.
All right, maybe I don't know. Maybe what did she have? Did she have one today? No, just yesterday.
Not unlike Nancy Guthrie, Nancy Woodrum lived on this sprawling ranch in Paso Robles, California. It was surrounded with vineyards, and it was outfitted with horse corrals and a pool and a spa and a guest house. And I mean, you probably know that in Tucson, Arizona, Nancy Guthrie has this beautiful area on a sprawling property in the desert. She's got this beautiful pool and this guest house, and she lives by herself. Nancy Woodrum once shared that property with her husband. And after he died, she began fixing it up to sell it. But in the meantime, she moved into the little guest house and then decided to rent out the bigger home, the main home, for like weddings and events, which is why on Friday, May 4th, 2018,
Yeah, she stands by her reporting, but I mean, does she actually? I mean, she made it seem as though that was their guy. I disagree. She has repeatedly said her source said, yeah, but that's bullcrap. Maybe she reported it as though it was a fact, and she did that maybe just in case it didn't work out. But then if it did work out, was going to go, my source said this, and I told you, my source says that. She kept her foot half in, half out, and she hid behind her source. That's what she did. That's what she's doing.
24 wedding guests arrived at Nancy Woodrum's home, suitcases in hand, and they were there to spend the weekend and celebrate a big wedding of their.
Yeah, but I could say anybody might be a suspect.
Dear and beloved friend. But what those wedding guests got was anything but a celebration. While they were there for the wedding, Nancy Woodrum disappeared out of her bed in the middle of the night. Don't get me wrong, the weekend had actually started like any other wedding weekend, right? The bridal party had gone to a rehearsal dinner at a nearby winery, and by the next morning, the house was full of, the usual win. If you're ever... injured due to someone else's negligence, you can check out Morgan and Morgan. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Banfield. Again, forthepeople.com/Banfield, or click the link below.
Yeah, but okay, if she's the only one that reported it though. So she's the only one that had that source. She's the only one. She's the only one that reported it like that.
Detective, the Nancy Woodrum case seemed as though it might actually be unsolvable. Did it feel that way when you were working it?
It did. It was definitely started out as what we call a whodunit. We really we had a few persons of interest that were.
It's not my opinion that she was the only one that was reporting it. That is not my opinion.
Near Nancy, contractors, ex-boyfriend, but nothing really that was really, lighting up to murder. So it was definitely like what we call a whodunit.
I just said she's the only one that reported it, Holly.
I mean, it is not every day that an older woman disappears from her bed, as we are learning in the Nancy Guthrie case in Tucson.
Yes. Especially in our county, we're small. We're a small county. Paso Robles is a small city where she lived. She lived in a rural part of like ranchers. Very, very unusual in this area for somebody to be taken out of their home.
Well, obviously, it seemed like
Chloe, who else reported it?
The whole world, but certainly much of America has been fixated on the Nancy Guthrie case because it seems like a complete mystery as well. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But true. As I looked more into Nancy Woodrum's case, the similarities are sort of uncanny.
There definitely are some similarities. I don't know much about the case in Arizona. I don't really follow it too much. I've got my own cases that I worry about, but it obviously a lady being taken from her home is very similar. Yes.
And taken from her bed. If we're to believe what Sheriff Chris Nanos said early in the case, but then retracted, he said she was taken from her bed in the middle of the night. And then Savannah Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie's daughter, said about 4 weeks later, she was taken from her bed in the dark of night. So if we're to believe the literal sense of that, it's almost exactly the way, Nancy Woodrum disappeared from her bed. Have you ever had a call from the authorities in Arizona? Because I brought this case up to Sheriff Nanos on day 2 of the case.
I have not received any calls from law enforcement, no.
Do you know if Sheriff Nanos has reached out to anyone in the Woodrum case?
No, I do not.
Do you think it would be helpful?
It's hard to say. I don't know what they know. All I can go by is in our case, we didn't reach out. But I don't know the details of their case, so I don't feel super comfortable commenting. But it could go either way. I mean, it just depends on what's going on over there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, to the untrained eye, which of course is me. It's just when I looked at Nancy Woodrum's case, sort of a light went off. I want to talk about the original piece. When you arrive on the property, you get a 911 call from a family member, her daughter and her daughter's husband, saying, we can't find our mom. And you show up, and what's the first thing that goes through your mind when you see there's a whole wedding party of 24 guests there?
Yeah, that was a little troublesome when we got there and learned there was this huge wedding party staying at the property. It was a large 5 or 6 bedroom house plus another 2-bedroom house, which was next door to Nancy's living quarters, which was a little studio. So just right off the bat, you have, 24 possible persons of interest, and, you're just getting out of your car. So it was a little overwhelming at first. Yes.
Did you immediately think it's more than likely one of these people, because this is the outlier, all these strangers have come to the property, not all strangers, but many. And if that was the case, how did you do your CSI on a property that just had so many potential sources of DNA on it?
Well, luckily for us, Nancy's house was separated some from the big house where most of the guests were. There was guests staying next to Nancy's house, where only a single wall separated the 2 structures. So it was one big building with a wall and Nancy's studio, and then on the other side was a 2-bedroom, little small place. And so in that regard, we could focus more on Nancy's place initially. That's where our evidence was, in Nancy's place. We had a search warrant for everything, and we searched everything. Luckily, we got word pretty early of where.
I don't think that. Yeah, this isn't really making much sense. Love Josh. I can't watch her any longer.
Sorry. The wedding party.
No, I'm just pissing everybody off tonight.
Party was
I'll
from.
just probably call it quits anyway.
We had heard that one of the wedding party, well, not just the wedding party, the groom was a member of law enforcement, and so that eased our mind a little bit. But there was also confusion with one of the wedding guests. We weren't sure. His statement was a little bit unclear, where he thought he didn't go to the reception.
A rehearsal dinner.
I've seen them. I've seen Matt Murphy. I watched him.
Rehearsal dinner, right? The night before. So here we have a guy who's telling us he stayed behind and would have been alone with Nancy for several hours. So we did have to focus on at least that one individual, but luckily we knew most of the wedding.
Yeah, Rusty is busy producing drones.
Yes, during the time that Nancy disappeared, we felt were tucked away in bed or at the party, except for this one Lone Ranger guy who really couldn't decide where he was at.
But ultimately, the time-stamped photos that his wife had, thank God, gave him his alibi and cleared him, yeah?
Yeah.
that and the
took us-
DNA.
Yes, it took us like 3 or 4 days later. So we wasted 3 or 4 days. Part of it was our fault. One of the investigators could have probably cleared that up a little bit better. The wedding guest certainly could have. But so we did clear it up fairly quickly, but it did waste a couple days.
And imagine if the eyes of the world had been on you. The scrutiny that the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI have all been under while investigating this case. Could you sort of put yourself in that predicament and imagine how things would have been different for you?
I don't know what you're referring to, but I'm kind of over it anyway for tonight. That's weird, Rusty. And it is, yeah. I'm glad Zelensky's here too. All right. We're going to call it a night. Appreciate you guys being here. Maybe we'll Macho, dude. Macho's snoring so loud. All right, guys. I'm out of here. I will catch you on the next one. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lab After Dark is starting shortly.
And maybe I'll never cover this case ever again.
Lab After Dark is starting soon. Thank you, little Miss Sharon. I appreciate that. Appreciate you being here, brother.
right.
Well, you opened that Pandora's door.
And Charlotte's Webbing donated $5 through Super Chat. Dancer emoji, dancer emoji, dancer emoji.
Why does it read some and some it doesn't read? I don't understand that. Thank you, Charlotte. Charlotte's Webbing.
I was actually just sitting down to pee, but whatever, you know.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
What's the point in causing the eruption?
It actually ends now.